Welcome back. This is Good Morning Namibia. Now, informal sector growth is very noticeable in Gobabis. Otjinene surely ranks as one of Namibia's cleanest villages, and Omitara settlement urgently needs grassroots economic development support. That's an overview gained from working at the cutting edge of entrepreneurship in the Omaheke region. Driving economic development from grassroots up by finding ways that build diverse and innovation-driven inclusive results in the crafting of impactful local economic development strategies is important. Joining us with more on this, all the way now from Otjinene this morning, Director of SME Compete, Mr. Danny Meyer. Good morning, Mr. Meyer, and welcome back to Good Morning Namibia.
Good morning to you and good morning to the viewers out there. And this week I'm in Informal region, all the way down here in Otjinene.
I've been so hard at work doing such important things, Mr. Meyer, but speak to us about your experience in Omaheke last week.
I will indeed, yes. And it was quite an experience. Of course, we work at, because we believe that economies grow from the bottom up, we like to work at grassroots, and that means that we should not leave those villages, settlements behind, because we see that the urban migration, people feel frustrated in these smaller towns, urban areas, and they move to the larger urban areas, Windhoek and the other largest urban areas. And so we'd like to continue stimulating local economic development because we believe they play a very important role there, the entrepreneurs. They're the ones who provide the goods and services right there at the front line. And of course, the consumers in those villages need to get that support. So Omaheke last week, this week we'll be in Irongo, as I said, but yeah, the focus is our visit last week in the Irongo, in the Omaheke region.
Well, Mr. Meyer, I think it's important at this juncture to unpack the aspects of grassroots economic development. What do those entail?
Well, that means that we have to foster entrepreneurship. Namibians generally are very entrepreneurial. You can go to any part of the country, any part in any of the 14 regions, and you'll see people making things, creating things, providing services, and so forth. So we want to foster that entrepreneurship because we believe that not only as the largest creator of employment, the micro, small and medium enterprise sector, but it's also for many Namibians the first opportunity they will have of formal employment. So it's very important to foster that entrepreneurship and to ignite a spark of entrepreneurship amongst those youngsters who have an interest in moving into the business arena. And so that's why we've got to continue supporting what is already being done there. And I must say some of the local authorities are actually doing quite a good job in some of those areas.
Just to have regard to three specific aspects. One relating to capacity building. Number two, and that's what you touched on just now, fostering entrepreneurship, but certainly also enhancing access to resources, whether financial resources, technical expertise. What do those fundamentals look like, especially in the Omaheke region that you visited last week?
So in Gobabis, actually, we were pleasantly surprised with the O Space. The O Space is an initiative of the regional governor in Omaheke, and what is basically done with support, of course, of other stakeholders in the community is to take a portion of a rundown government building and actually create an SME incubation center there. A center with a difference, specifically aimed at artisans. Now we know that access to funding is a challenge that most Namibians in business will experience in a security-based lending environment. It's similar in most countries in the Southern African region, but very pronounced here in Namibia. But we forget that access to affordable workspace is as important. And that gap has been filled in a very impressive way in Gobabis, where the regional governor created this space. And so you have youngsters who have come out of vocational training centers with the skills in carpentry and welding, electrical and so on, who don't want to become employees but want to be work providers, job providers, actually have an opportunity to operate. And as I understand it, the model is that for the first 12 months, they don't have to pay a rent. They just have to make sure that the area is kept clean and in good shape. And thereafter, they, of course, have to contribute to the operating costs. So that's a model that's worthy of emulation. It's not only providing the workspace, but we understand that there is also mentors who these young aspiring entrepreneurs can turn to in case of need if they require. We've identified a few gaps, particularly when it comes to costing and pricing. Some of them really need a bit of help there to cost and price their products accurately. And as it was pointed out to me by a more established entrepreneur, she says, just look at the bed they're manufacturing and the beds that are available in a retail store. The price difference is not so great, and there must be a reason for that, because their input costs are much lower. They're not paying rental and so on. So these are areas that we have to look at, and that's where obviously the local government structure comes in, where the local economic development officer, if that town council or municipality or settlement authority has one, needs to become proactive and assist those young entrepreneurs.
So Meyer, I do want to understand what exactly the challenge is relating to costing and pricing. Do they undercharge or overcharge? What was your observation?
Well, both actually. They either forget to factor into the cost certain key components, such as, for example, their own salary. So they undercost, or they will just take a price that they see. They'll walk around and maybe go into an established retailer and see a garment or see a pair of sandals, or if they're making furniture, they'll see that, or they'll talk to other electricians more established and say, oh, this is the rate that we charge, this is the price for the product. And then they just try and discount it by a few dollars to make it more attractive. And of course, that's where the problem comes in. Customers, potential customers, do have the privilege of choice. And so they'll say, no, look, this product that has been mass-produced perhaps is of a better finished quality. And then they'll say, well, we'll pay a little bit extra. So that's we also have to understand when it comes to the retailers, often they will sell the product on credit, especially when it comes to furniture. So the profit margin for them does not lie in selling the product, but on the repayments that the customer is going to make over the following 12 or 24 months. So these are all factors that they have to understand, the entrepreneurs, when they cost their product, that you have to cost it accurately. And so we are going to run programs. We see that as a deficiency, and we need to do a costing and pricing. And also, if we can help them actually compile a proper quotation, because we find there's also a deficiency there. Where they can't structure a quotation properly. So these are areas that need to be addressed to help them to position their business going forward.
Mr. Meyer, we're often told to diversify our economy, and we're also instructed to innovate. How can we find ways to build diverse and innovative, inclusive results in crafting local economic development strategies?
That is really a good point that you make there. So let's first look at it from the viewpoint of an entrepreneur. There's far too much copycatting that goes on, And so let's say there's a young lady who's into garment design and manufacturing. We point out to them that there are opportunities in school uniforms. They shouldn't just be making traditional garments. They should be looking at school uniforms, sports attire. Most of the schools have their own style of uniform, color, and so on. So there's already a potential there, which they can tap into. And the same thing, of course, when it comes to some of the other products. So diversification, don't just make the run-of-the-mill product, make something different, make something unique. And when it comes to furniture manufacturers or those into carpentry and joinery, we point out that there are opportunities with the local schools because school desks is wear and tear year after year, so they need to be refurbished, tops have to be replaced and so on. So we encourage the entrepreneurs to look beyond perhaps just the obvious. When it comes to local authorities, I think they should look at what is the unique selling point or that particular region has to offer in terms of, let's say, its agriculture, the produce that is grown there, and what can they add value. How can they help the entrepreneurs to add value to that product? So if it's, say, fruit, what about juices, jams and juices? Not just the obvious cultivate the crop and then go and sell it at the open market, but see how you can actually add value to that. Not just grow tomatoes, but actually start making tomato jam out of it, and so on. So that is another area that we need to work at, but I guess there we need to work more closer with the local authorities, with people who are there in that particular town and region, such as from the municipality or the town council, or from the regional structure, the economics department within the regional governance structure.
Meyer, it's always such a pleasure to engage you on these critically important matters. Do you have any final thoughts before we let you go to get going as far as Otjinene is concerned?
Yeah, we're really, really excited that the president, the leadership have focused on the role of the informal sector. And as our president has mentioned on numerous occasions now, the largest creator of jobs and wealth in the country is in fact the informal sector and the smaller enterprises, the micros and small enterprises. And it's encouraging to see that mechanisms are being put in place to support them, such as the fund that's being created by government and the initiatives taken on the part of the constituency councillors, the regional councils, the local authorities and so on. And we really like to acknowledge that and thank that, because that's how Namibia's economy is going to be grown from the grassroots up. Thank you. Thanks for having us on the program.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for the great work that you and the team continue to do. Safe travels.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
That was the director of SME Compete, Mr. Danny Meyer, talking to us about grassroots economic development. They were in the Omaheke region last week, and they are in the Orongo region this week. Good morning, Meyer. We'll return after a brief break.